Okay, let's jump right in. We are opening the history books to the year 538 BC to unpack an ancient decree that has, believe it or not, some staggering implications for you and me trying to navigate our faith in today's world. So this isn't just a history lesson, not at all. Think of it as a strategic blueprint for your purpose. So let me ask you this. Have you ever sat in a corporate meeting or maybe just looked at the world around you and felt, well, completely powerless? You know, like your faith, your calling is just this tiny little boat in a giant secular ocean? Maybe you feel a bit stuck or even compromised? If that's you, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to rewind the clock to a moment where God himself steps directly into the boardroom of the world's reigning superpower. This is a moment where he literally stirs the spirit of a pagan king. We're talking the CEO of the entire ancient world and gets him to personally fund and authorize his kingdom's work. It's wild. To really get this, you have to see the timeline. For 70 years, exactly as prophesied by Jeremiah, God's people were exiles under the thumb of the seemingly unbeatable Babylonian Empire. Then, bam, in 539 BC, Babylon falls, overnight. Just 1 year later, the new guy in charge, Cyrus the Great of Persia, does something absolutely unthinkable, fulfilling a prophecy he probably didn't even know existed. Just listen to the weight of these words. This is the most powerful man on the planet publicly saying that his authority comes from Yahweh, the God of heaven. He doesn't see himself as a self-made conqueror. No, he says he's an appointee, an instrument chosen for a job. I mean, this is just a stunning picture of God's absolute sovereignty over every human system. His will isn't held back by our politics, our economies, or what anybody believes. But it gets even better, because hidden right there in Cyrus's decree is one specific Hebrew word that unlocks the entire spiritual dynamic of what's happening. So, it's time for a quick Hebrew masterclass. Trust me, this one word changes everything. And that word is aliyah. When Cyrus talks about God's people, he says, let him go up to Jerusalem. This comes from the root word Allah, which means to ascend, to climb, to get a promotion. So you see, God isn't just giving them permission to go home. He is summoning them to a higher purpose, a spiritual elevation. And this just brilliantly highlights the choice they were facing. Look, Babylon was the New York City of its day, the center of global wealth, culture, and innovation. It was comfortable. It was secure. Jerusalem, on the other hand, was literally a pile of rubble. It was dangerous and desolate. From a purely worldly point of view, making this move was a massive downgrade. But spiritually, oh, it was an aliyah. It was an ascent right into the heart of their divine destiny. But here's the thing. God doesn't call them to ascend empty-handed. In this just incredible act of justice, he orchestrates the full restoration of the very things that were stolen from their temple decades earlier. This isn't just a trip home. It's a recovery mission, and it's being bankrolled by the king himself. And just look at this inventory list. These aren't just random valuables. These were the sacred tools of worship, the very heart of their connection with God that Nebuchadnezzar had looted. Every single gold dish, every silver bowl had a specific holy purpose in the presence of the Lord. The grand total comes to 5,400 articles. And here's the incredibly powerful point. In the economy of God, nothing dedicated to genuine worship is ever permanently lost. He keeps a detailed account, and what the enemy steals, God has a way of restoring in his perfect time. So their calling has been confirmed by the most powerful man on earth, and their stolen articles of worship have been recovered. Now, the people faced the ultimate test, the journey itself. They had to travel 900 miles. I want you to picture that. A treacherous, multi-month journey from the most opulent, luxurious city on the planet back to a pile of rocks. This was no retreat from prosperity. No, this was a faith-filled, strategic advance toward their God-given purpose. So why are we talking about all this? Why does any of this matter to you right now, today? Because this story, it's a precedent. It is a divine mandate that echoes down through time, right to us. God is still calling his people out of comfortable compromise and into assignments that require pure faith. He is calling you to make your aliyah. So what does a modern aliyah even look like? Well, it looks like consciously choosing divine purpose, even when it looks like a downgrade to the world. It means trusting that God can command resources from the most unlikely places to fund your calling. It means actively getting to work rebuilding what the enemy has tried to steal from you, your joy, your passion, your fire. And ultimately, it means stepping out in faith when he gives you the command to ascend. So the takeaway from this ancient decree is crystal clear. God is sovereign over any system, any job, any culture you find yourself in. He calls you to ascend, not just to exist. And he promises to restore what's been lost along the way. Which brings us to the final, crucial question, the one you've got to answer for yourself. What is your comfortable, secure, but spiritually limiting Babylon? And what is the difficult, faith-requiring, rubble-filled assignment God is calling you to ascend to? What is your Jerusalem? The decree has been issued. It's time to go up.